Aloha from Lafayette, California. Stevie Coyle here from Mighty Fine Guitars doing the Friday Noontime webcast. Welcome. Come on in. Featuring a very cool guitar today. Stay tuned for that. I'm just going to check and make sure things are happening here. You know how it goes. First thing you do when you jump online is grab your Etch-a-Sketch and make sure you're online. Looks like things are happening. Very good. Do that and that. All right. This is very cool. There are so many. This is the golden age of guitar building. It's really astonishing. Here's a Chupacabra. You thought it was a little fuzzy animal? Mysterious Fortean animal? It's also a guitar. Martini? You bet. Very kind of triple O, 12 fret. Design. Listen to that. Chupacabra. While you're on, you don't need to watch me. You want to take a look at the guitar, but at some point, head on over to chupacabraguitars.com. CHUPACABRA, and you can count on that being right. Add guitars onto that. You can count on that being right, because among my superpowers is being a spelling bee champion. In first grade, I won the school spelling bee. Could anything be more nerdy? I don't think so. And then, in 7th grade, I won the district spelling bee, or the archdiocese, or whatever it was. I'd trade it all to be able to throw one good spiral football 50 yards. Never could do that. So we all have our cans and can'ts. This is a wonderful guitar. Give you a quick look at it. Chupacabra, very much built after a triple O Martin guitar, a 12 fret triple O. They're 12s and 14s. This is a 12 fret with the slotted headstock, which finger stylers want, and I'll tell you why in a second. And with 12 frets to the body, another thing finger pickers typically want, and I'll tell you why in a second. The bridge more in the middle of the lower bout than up towards the sound hole, and here's why finger pickers kind of like that. Not to say that you can't play, I always say this, not to say that you can't play any kind of music on any guitar. You could strum this guitar, of course you could. And you could finger pick a dreadnought, but what things are maximized for? This one is kind of maximized for fingerstyle play. When the bridge is up closer to the sound hole, it's away from the middle of the lower bout, which is where the sound gets generated. So you get more of a sense of individual notes sound great and saturation sounds great in chords, but when you're doing multiple things at the same time, like finger stylers are doing, keeping a bass line going, then a treble line, maybe a little descant line in the middle there as well, you want intense articulation. You want all of those notes to weigh the same and be able to control that instead of being heavily bass oriented, which what big guitars tend to do. When you strum those, be bassy. When the bridge moves down, because the neck is shorter, you've only got 12 frets to the body instead of 14. You get the middle of the lower bout activating the thing. Picture a drum. And if you tapped a drum in the middle of the thing, you'd get a different sound than if you tapped the drum head towards the edge. Kind of the same thing here. All those notes weigh the same. It's great. Instead of being really, really bassy, like a dreadnought guitar. And we all, let's face it, we all had to have dreadnoughts back then. Back then, if it wasn't a dreadnought, it wasn't a guitar, or it was one of them lady guitars, like Joan Baez played, or that Bob Dylan played, which was weird. Smaller guitars are back. That's the first consideration. This is what I wanted to talk about today. Thanks for reminding me. This is what I wanted to talk about today a little bit, is in buying a guitar, which is arguably one of the things Mighty Fine Guitars is all about. Excuse me. In buying a guitar, the first consideration, I'd say top line, is does it fit you? Let's face it, all those old dreadnoughts we all grew up with, they don't fit us. They probably didn't fit us then. Really big, really wide across the waist, wide across the lower bout. Yeah, this business down here, really wide, but it's across the waist, which pushed the guitar up like this, which puts your arm at a less than advantageous angle if you were sitting down. Fine probably if you're standing up or playing classical style on your left knee. A bit more, but most of us, folkies, rockers, blues people, play with the guitar on the right knee. And having a guitar with a narrower waist is a bit of an advantage, especially if it's a big wide guitar. like dreadnoughts were then and are now, that's tremendous disadvantageousness for your elbow and shoulder. And we don't fit around those guitars the way we used to. Jumbo's the same. I'm distracted by the sound of this guitar. I'll stop that for just a second. First consideration is, does the guitar fit you? A lot of people are buying guitars smaller than they had back in college to sit on the couch with. Because let's face it, that's where a lot of music gets played these days, is sitting on the couch watching Netflix, sports, something like that. First consideration is that. Second consideration is, do you love the sound of it? Adjusting the action can happen, and probably should happen, on any guitar. That's kind of an almost necessary second step after you buy a fine guitar, is to get it set up the way you like it. It doesn't come like that. It might. You might luck out and end up with a guitar that has the action and the feel and the everything that you like. You might not. You probably won't. Odds are against that happening. So rather than making that a top-line consideration, oh, the action's too high, the action's too low, does it fit you? And do you love the sound? Then adjustments can be made, and it's not a giant operation. People can do that. The gentleman who made this guitar, Fred Crowder, at Chupacabra Guitars, does that kind of stuff all day long, and he's terrific. Over there in Half Moon Bay, California. Terrific. Terrific builder, terrific repairman. Hell of a nice guy, too. I played a guitar so much like this for years, a Collings 000 12 fret. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Played the daylights out of it with that band I was with, Menudo, and only gave it up because the guitar I had to have came along, and I had to have it, so I had to sell that one, and I did. But this one feels so much like that. A 12 fret 000. Still plenty of volume, plenty of bass, plenty of mid-range, plenty of everything. Slightly bigger sound than an O or a double O, of course. Totally comfortable to play. And a wider fingerboard than you'd find on some other guitars as well. So let me read you off some of the specs. Fred Crowder is the builder over there in Half Moon Bay, California. Chupacabra Guitars. This is a 000 12 fret. Very much like a Martin 000 12 fret. Very Martin-y. Indian rosewood back and sides. Beautiful. Back and sides and binding is Indian rosewood as well. Adirondack spruce top, as you can tell. I hope maybe the camera will pick this up. As you can tell by the wideness of the grain. Back then, when dinosaurs roamed the earth and I was in high school, we were always looking for pound cake. Guitar's no good unless the top is pound cake, which is to say the grain was so small you could barely see it. This wide grain from the eastern United States is what you want. Really stiff wood. Adirondack spruce is really stiff, which means you can cut it really thin, which means it's going to be nice and resonant. And lots of spark coming off the top. Great stuff. Adirondack spruce top. You want that. Especially, let me take that back slightly. Take it halfway back and say you want that, especially if you play softly. Adirondack tops tend to be louder as well. So if you have a soft touch and still want to be heard, Adirondack might be a way to go for you. All the spruces are great. Spruce does that. Frank Ford at Griffin Stringed Instruments in Palo Alto, great shop. The Mother Hive in the Bay Area here and in the western United States. Famously quoted as saying, what kind of spruce is it? It's spruce. And he's righter than not. Spruce has a sound. You can make it really thin. It's really resonant, which is why tops tend to be spruce of one kind or another. Sitka, Adirondack, Engelmann, Swiss. There's all kinds of tops, but they're spruce. Know what I mean? The binding is scalloped. Hot hide glue. This is a great thing. Hot hide glue assembly. Sorry, Seabiscuit, but guitars sound better to my ear when they're assembled with hot hide glue instead of modern glues. Modern glues don't, pardon me, don't set up the same way. They don't dry in a crystalline fashion. And I really think there's something to that idea that when the guitar dries when the glue dries really hard and crystalline, that it transmits more energy. And that's what this one does. And it's the way they used to do it, which means it's probably right. Hot hide glue construction. Amazon rosewood bridge, fingerboard, and headstock overlay. Beautiful stuff. Amazon rosewood. Two kinds of rosewood on this one, Indian and Amazon. Martin style rosette, and long scale, 25.4. So that is to say, this distance from here to here is 25.4 inches, which is long scale, which means the upshot of that is down tunings are probably going to be easier to play in tune. The intonation, especially on the low string on a higher fret, intonation always gets to be a problem. You've probably noticed that in standard tuning on any guitar, which often means tuning that low string down a few cents south of where your tuner says it really should be. So here, if you play Dad Gad, Double Drop D, Orkney Dorkney, any of those alternate tunings, you can get better intonation on the low strings and less rattle with a long scale guitar. A tripolo guitar, on the flip side, is going to be, or rather, this is a long scale tripolo. I'm talking through my hat. This is a long scale tripolo, which can happen. OMs typically have long scale and tripolos have short scale. I thought this felt like that. Tons of power, and intonation is good even on those low strings as you move up the neck. That's the upshot right there. Continuing with our list of goodies, traditional dovetail neck joint, pyramid bridge, got this lovely retro pyramid bridge, bone, nut, and saddle, those things right there. 20-inch radius fingerboard radius is 20 inches. Hard maple bridge plate, and you want that too. That's the way Martin used to build. This is a very traditional Martin build, and it sounds like a Martin. A brushed varnish finish, not a plastic finish, not a polyester. 1 7/8 inch width nut, nice and wide over here. Another big plus for finger stylers. When you're doing multiple things at the same time, having a little more real estate over there in the left hand is really useful. Boy, this is a Stevie guitar right here, I tell you what. Wide fingerboard, slotted headstock, 12 frets to the body. Slotted headstock because it puts more up pressure on the bridge. Having a steeper break angle there gives you a little more pull on this side of things to activate the top quicker. Honduran mahogany neck, 2 1/4 spacing at the bridge, string spacing from low to high, Goto nickel tuners with brass bushings, and to top it all off, the cherry on top is a K&K Pure Mini pickup, which is the pickup I almost universally recommend these days to folks. They say, what kind of pickup? I love this kind and that kind. I don't know what to do. I don't think you can go far wrong with a K&K Pure Mini. Inexpensive, easy to install, easy to remove, non-intrusive. You don't have to drill through the top of the guitar to use it. You do need to get the jack drilled out down here at the end pin, but that's okay. This is a shallow Martin V style, nice big old neck. Feels like an old Martin. That wide finger board. We'll put him in the ground 6 feet down till you hear that coffin sound. You can weep and you can moan, but that old boy ain't never coming home. Another man done a full go round. Another man done a full go round. Yeah, man. Chupacabra guitars. Run, do not walk over virtually to chupacabraguitars.com and check out Fred Crowder's guitars over there. He's got all kinds of guitars that he's built himself. He builds Martin-style steel string guitars, nylon strung guitars as well, short and long scale. Check it out. You'll see what he's up to over there. This one, now here's the cherry on top of the cherry on top. Most guitars in this shop are north of $3,000. This one is at $2,950. So come on down. Good heavens. $2,950. Pretty firm on that. But a guitar of this quality for under $3,000 is astonishing. Lovely thing. Come and get it. Well, let me check and see if there are any comments or questions. If not, if I don't get to them here, please post them down below. I'll answer them in the thread. What happens with these videos typically, I do them live to Facebook, and then I send them over to the Stevie Coyle page, and then I send them over to the Mighty Fine Guitars page on Facebook. Then they go to Instagram and to YouTube as well. Stevie Coyle Music and Mighty Fine Guitars and Stevie Coyle on Instagram. Modern times. Let me check and see. Hi, 17 people here. Who else here? Cool tone. I agree, Don Charles. Hi, Terry Brigman. Go Cowboys. Tom Lamson. Very good. There's a guitar builder right there. Chupacabra out of Half Moon Bay. Thank you, John Wittenberg, for bringing this guitar over. What a sweetie. Reminds me so much of the one I played for years and years with those guys. Ian and Irene, all the way from overseas. I think you probably won the Faraway Prize today. Very good. Hey, Jim Esposito. Go Broncos. Todd Rensma. David Hilliard. David Hilliard, you're right. One of the funner names to say. Chupacabra. Guitars. Yeah, you bet. Buy it for the name. Keep it for the sound. Hi, Nancy Paul. Very good. Some of the usual suspects. Hi, Miguel. In Edinburgh. Oh, you got to duke it out with Ian and Irene for the Faraway Prize today. Is the Market Bar still there? Miguel, have I asked you that? I met up with a guy there at the Market Bar in Edinburgh years and years ago. Somebody said, talk to the barman because I was told to meet this guy there. I said, is my pal X here? They said, oh, he'll be here. I said, well, how will I know him? He said, oh, you'll know him. So there was some fella playing on stage. Boy, war stories here. There was some fella playing on stage, and he had one of those organ things, the things out of an organ, the rhythm master or whatever it was, the beat master, the weird little had a little cha-cha percussion sound in it. I thought, this ain't right. I'm in Edinburgh, damn it. I don't want to hear that here. So pretty soon, there was kind of a scattering on the floor, and a fella had pulled a bar stool out, and he sat on one bar stool, and he threw another one up over his shoulder with the legs pointed up and started making really loud bagpipe noises. I said, well, that's my guy right there. He's a bagpiper. That's about all I knew. Friend of a friend kind of situation. And anyway, Miguel, is the market bar still there? More comments and questions? Inverness. You're absolutely right. It was Inverness. Thank you very much. That's right. I've misremembered it all these years. Wow. Thanks for clearing that up after decades of mistelling the story. Matthew Magner, very good. Hola. ¿Qué tal? Vamos a la biblioteca con Pepe. And there's my Spanish right there. You're welcome. Hi, John Reynolds. Hi, Christy. The tone is fantastic. The snowman. If you're not hip to the snowman, it's almost time to talk about Christmas. Not before Halloween, but at least only slightly before Thanksgiving. I think it's totally legal to talk about that holiday. If you're not familiar with the video, it's available on YouTube. I think it's a 27-minute video. Fantastically beautiful hand-drawn animation called The Snowman. There are several versions of it. One narrated by the fellow who wrote the story. I don't want to even tell you anything about it except that it's gorgeous. One of them is narrated by the fellow who wrote the story. Another one is narrated by David Bowie. So make sure to catch all. And there's another version as well that I forgot. Maybe it doesn't have narration at all. It doesn't have a little preface. But Bowie does one and the author does the other. And that song, called Walking in the Air, that little piece that I played, is featured prominently in this beautiful sequence, this flying sequence. And when you watch it, all hand-drawn animation. Every cell hand-drawn, one by one. It's an astonishment. So treat yourself, treat the kids. It's just achingly lovely. So that's what I have to tell you this week. Next week, I'm featuring an old Gibson that has come back from the dead. Whoa. But this week, it's been a Chupacabra, 000 12 fret, by Fred Crowder out of Half Moon Bay, out of El Granada, California, right near Half Moon Bay, and $29.50. That's astonishing. So it's not going to last long, but be the first. Give me a call. Come on in. Grab it up. Let's get this one in somebody's hands and somebody playing it and enjoying the daylights out of it. All right, kids. See you down the road. See you next week.